welcome to Hope is Not a Tactic, and I'm your host, Lieutenant Joe Pangaro. So in the last couple of weeks, we've talked about some important equipment type things, and we move forward into our school safety and security. Today, let's talk about the ability to see danger approaching us. Now, we can't react quickly if we don't see the danger coming at us. Now, I see lots of times, I'll go to a school, they'll have me come in to do a threat assessment for their school, and we like to get there in the morning. We like to see how the school functions before people get there, then when the students start to arrive and the staff. So let's talk about that, morning arrival, very important. So we know that the potential for danger is really high at morning arrival and an afternoon dismissal. And why is that? We all know. We open our doors and we have to let the kids in. It's usually lots of them, so they have to come piling in the door. Same thing on the way home. We have to open the doors and let everybody out. So where is the danger here? Now, we know that most of the time, people who are dangerous to us are our own students. So that's understanding the internal threat a little better, which will be a subject for our next program. The internal threat is the kids in our own building, and we'll talk about that more in depth. But for right now, we understand that. It's the kids in our own building. So the morning arrival, when the kids are showing up, in the afternoon, doors are wide open, everybody's coming and going. Do you practice drills at these times of day? I know most of you are out there shaking your head going, no, we don't. Because most people do not. It's very difficult, a lot of moving parts. What do? Kids are half on the bus, half off the bus, and you're going to run a drill right as soon as they get there. No one's ready for it, etc. Okay? Or on the way home. They have to get on the bus at a certain time. So if they're not on the bus, everybody's going to be late, the bus routes are messed up. So we don't do that. So what can you do in place of that? Well, I'm going to suggest that you figure a way to do it, and you do a real drill. Get your kids out 10 minutes early if you have to, on a special day, and do the drill. But if you can't, you can try tabletopping this with your staff. Get everybody in a room at a faculty meeting, and they all have to be there anyway, right? So you bring everybody in and do a tabletop on what would we do if. And then you come up with a scenario, simple scenario. Say the kids are on their way out to the buses, and some kids are on the buses, more kids are coming out, they're coming through the door, the teachers are standing around. And what if somebody observes somebody with a weapon approaching on the sidewalk? What would you do? What could you do? All right, let's hear everybody's ideas. Where would they go? Where would they run to? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's important to tabletop it, to at least have people think about it before it happens, because there's a reality of security stuff. The first time you think about dealing with an issue, you don't want it to be the first time it happens. You want to think about it ahead of time. If you can't do it in a drill form, then tabletop it, talk about it, and then figure out what could you do. Because should something happen, at least people have some ideas of what you talked about. Do we all get back on the bus? Do we close the buses down? Do we send the buses away? Do we try and move the kids off the property? What are we going to do? Okay, so that's a good idea. So this all fits in with my talk about approaches. Seeing danger come at us is very important. So when I do my threat assessments and we get there early in the morning and we watch how everybody functions, a lot of times we will see some staff, sometimes not enough staff, usually not enough, but sometimes adequate number of staff come out, and we see people bunching together. They're getting ready. They're drinking their coffee. They're talking to each other. They're talking about what happened last night. They're talking about what they're doing that day, the field trip, whatever it is they're doing. They're having conversation, and they're watching the kids come and go off the buses. This is a security gap, because if someone were to try and attack us at this point, we are not in a position to see danger coming. We can't react to something when it's right on top of us. So we have to see it coming ahead of time so that we can make a reaction that can potentially save lives. So what I always suggest is look at the area where you have all the kids getting off the bus. Is it a U-shaped driveway and you got buses all the way over there and buses all the way over there and everything in between? Are they lined up at an angle and the kids all get off and come towards you? You know your building, but take a look at that. And what I'm going to suggest to you is this. All of your staff that are out there at arrival and dismissal, all of them, should be in a brightly colored traffic vest and have a radio. Now, some people say we don't need radios, we can wave to each other. Not good. Everyone should have a radio so that everyone can call for help or to let people know there's a problem. Communication. Then I would position my people, some at the furthest point of each side of that line, so that they can see anyone approaching the school on foot. They can see somebody walking up or getting out of a car with a weapon. They can see a student approaching with a backpack with a weapon in their hands. They can call on the radio, and now you can maybe do something to save some people. If you're all standing around in the front of the building, and I know it's nice, I see you, it's good morning to the kids, and it's friendly, and it's wonderful, and it really is a nice thing to watch what you do. But the reality is, if there's nobody watching at those ends, by the time that person comes around the bus is where you and all the kids are, it's too late. It's too late to react. So you need to be able to see danger coming. You need to see the approach. So get people stationed at those corners. Then station them along the way so that everyone has a view of what's going on. Coffee is wonderful. As a cop, I drank a lot of coffee. I still do. Coffee's great. This is not the time for a coffee break or for conversation. This is a time to open your eyes, be aware, and prepare. You never know what could happen. You want to see danger approaching you. So putting people out there, invest with radios all along the way so that everyone has a clear view of what's going on, is going to provide you with the time you need to respond. Remember, time equals life. Proper placing of your personnel is important. The ability to see that danger coming will help save lives. So thank you very much. That's approach. Go and take a look. Same thing at the end of the day. When you're letting everyone out, make sure your staff is out there in the proper position to watch what's going on. And before I leave, one more thing. We go to a lot of schools and we see lots of kids arriving before the official bus arrival. So we see kids riding up on bicycles, parent drop-offs, which how many people drop their kids off now that never used to do it? We see kids walking up. They're all milling about in the morning before the buses get there and before you have staff outside. So these kids are approaching. Your front doors might be open already. A lot of these have them on timers. You might start at 7:30, but at 7 o'clock, either the custodians dog the door open to get ready for the day, or there's an automatic timer that pops the lock on that door. Now the door is open, and these early kids, sure, they can walk right in so they can get into school. Danger can also come walking right into that building. Okay? So if you have students outside, you should have staff watching what's going on. Now that means you may have to work something out with the contract. You may have to get somebody in on a different shift time. If you have an SRO, fantastic. See if you can adjust their time so that they're there 10 or 15 minutes before the buses arrive so that people can see what's going on. Because I see this all the time. Kids come riding up on their bikes. They're all by themselves. They can get in. Somebody could be there waiting for them because there's nobody around. There's nothing going on. If your parents drop off early, because I know parents have to go to work, so they drop off early, 15 minutes before the buses get there, and they head off to work. They're leaving their kids there in a potentially dangerous situation because there's no one to watch them. So we do one of two things. We put staff out there early to watch for that, or we tell the parents you can't let the kids out of the car until there's staff out there. Nobody wants to do these things because they're difficult. Well, remember, a cardinal rule of security is the more security you add to a location, the more convenience you have to take away. Right? We used to just walk into the school and say, hi, we're here, and we can't do that anymore. Well, the approaches to your school are hugely important. Same thing at recess. Think about that. You got teachers out there, you got these kids all over this field playing, having a good time. That's wonderful. But if nobody's watching those approaches, who's coming around from the front of the building? Who's coming out of the woods? Who's coming from the parking lot? If you got all your teachers bunching up and nobody has radios, that's a problem. So you need to go out there and see where your staff is positioned. They should be positioned in such a way so that they can see every angle coming towards that field, because they may have to make a call. They may see approaching danger and say, we got to get off this field. That might mean going back into the school. Do you have doors that can open easily so they can make quick ingress into the school? You should have lots of swipe card operated readers, the backs of your school, so that people can get in wherever they happen to be. Because you can't always say, well, we're going to be by the door where the danger is so we can get in. You have to have lots of places that you can get into the side of the building with your swipe card. If there's danger in the school, if something erupts in the school and those kids are outside, bringing them back in is not a good idea. They need to escape from the area, from the property. How do they do that? Are your PAs working properly? Do they have radios to hear? The school is in lockdown, there's an intruder in the building, and you got to get them kids and escape out of that field. Right? So seeing danger coming is hugely important. Your approaches are very, very important. Go out there the morning of the next school day and take a look where your people are. Give them the vests. Give them the radios. Give them the chance to save lives. Thanks for joining us this week on Hope is Not a Tactic. We love being here to keep you safe. Don't forget to email us, jpangaro@disrupt-edtv.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear your questions for future shows so I can answer them for you. Try and find some information you need. We're going to be doing an equipment show pretty soon. How much equipment do people want to sell you to keep your school safe, right? I've researched a lot of it, stuff that I put in my district, stuff that I would be happy to have my kids in the building with. Because there's a lot of great stuff out there, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work quite so well. I'm going to talk about all of that here on Hope is Not